Okay, we got Should Gaming Just Stop Here from Daniel Owen. Okay, what is going on? Are we talking about some graphics?
I grew up in an era where every few years, what games could be visually, but also from a game design standpoint, was just massively revolutionized every
Yeah.
few years. You went from not even be able to render in 3D to 3D that looked awful to 3D.
Yeah, like the big jump from like 2D to 3D for me was, well, there was like a couple things because like what I do, I went from like the NES to Sega, and there was like some 3D stuff on Sega. Wait, no. I went from NES to Sega, played a shitload of Sonic, and then after that, I played Dreamcast, and that was like the 3D Sonic stuff, right? And then it was like the battle started of PlayStation One. Uh, no, it was PlayStation One first, but then you had a year or two later, and I don't even know if I'm remembering this correctly, because like whenever I played PlayStation, it was like I played like a shitload of like Medal of Honor. Um, and it was like PlayStation, N64, and shortly after the Xbox, OG Xbox. But then shortly after that, it was like PlayStation 2, right? But I'm trying to think. Did GTA, was it 3 or 4? I think it was 3. Or was it 4? Debuted on the PS2, and everyone was like clamoring over that one, right? But I'm trying to remember, what else did I play on PlayStation 1? Jesus, because like on N64 you had like like you had like some 3D Kirby stuff. You had like obviously Mario 64. You had like some like Mario sports games and whatnot. You had Super Smash, and that was the beginning.
That looked something like reality, but then we got much more, pixels on the screen,
Yeah.
much more characters on the screen, much more models, and then pushing that up to faster load times, super
Mm-hmm.
fast SSDs, higher resolutions, 60 FPS is more of the norm, still not all the time on consoles. And then, it's really revolutionary every few years.
Right.
But then we run into some situations that are a little bit out of that paradigm. And we start seeing things like this.
What's this? There's no need of the PlayStation 6 and Xbox next. From a gamer's perspective, Final Fantasy 11. Wait, this is 14. Final Fantasy 14 director says, "Oh, so Final Fantasy 14 is coming in. There's no need. We've peaked. Like anything else, I think. Oh shit, let me think about that. I mean, because like I'm not a console bro, so I'm just like PC person, but I'm like riding on like a 2080, right? Um, for like the last like 5 to 7 years. So I could stand to upgrade some stuff, but like I'm trying to think from like console perspective. What's the current consoles? Like the Switch 2 just dropped, right? Like what's the current PlayStation console? PS5 and more powerful PS5 Pro. Okay. What's the current Xbox console? Xbox Series X and Series S. Why is there a fucking Corona Zen being right there next to it? Can I just like, God fucking hate this. Literal hate. Only hatred.
We have the
Okay, whatever. I was talking about, okay, but the current consoles only go up to like they're struggling to get like 60 FPS at like 2K or do they go like 4K? I'm sure they do, right? Depending on, because like you can go to Walmart and get like a 4K 60-inch TV for like $500. Like I'm not too much of a TV person, but if I was, I mean, I'd probably go do that. So I think 4K is 4K like the normal resolution that most console players play at? Like I think most console players prefer like higher resolution, lower frames, right? Because like there's a ton of games that go back and forth between like trying to make like a stable 30 and like 30 to 60, and it's like kind of bouncing in there sometimes, but like there's like a push for like 60 to be like the norm. But wasn't it just recently that they're trying to make the push for like 120 frames like the norm, which is fine. I mean, I'm all for it for sure. I mean, but once I had like this baller ass monitor gets like 244 like refresh rate, I was like, damn, like this makes games feel super silky smooth, right? Like I don't want to go back. Like I can tell, my eyeballs can tell. But it's like you try to tell that to a console person, they're just like, they have like no concept of like there's like bigger, better, badder, smoother stuff out there. But anyway, I'm just ranting.
Director of Final Fantasy XIV saying there's no need of the PlayStation 6 and Xbox Next from a gamer's perspective.
What, is that the next console name for Xbox? Xbox Next? Oh, man.
And this is, I kind of blew my mind for a second, but then I started thinking about it and just like, man, really, like as a kid, again, every few years we got something just revolutionary, right?
Yeah.
Like
Haunted.
This progress happened as I...
Yeah, from the 3 to the 4, this looks, well, maybe it's like a bad shot like right here on this one, but like going from 3 to 4, 3 looks better on the character, but like you look at the background, it's like, well, the background looks better on 4, but whatever. And then 5, like it looks pretty better, like both character and background, but like if we were to like make some more space and put a PlayStation 6 right there, like yes, that product would be able to perform objectively better, but you also have to consider that like who's gonna be like buying that, right? Look at the fucking economy. Like you got people still struggling at making like between 40, 50, 60K jobs, and they can't even survive off that shit. Like a lot of times people have 2 jobs. It's like absolutely horrible. So if or when the next console comes out, I don't know the price, whatever it's gonna be at. It's only gonna further segment the gaming community, and I would be willing to bet that if you buy like a PlayStation 6 or Xbox Next, you probably got enough money to throw down for like whatever microtransactions for your favorite game, or let's say you play a sports games, you got some like couple hundreds you could throw down on some packs or some bullshit. Yeah, you are the target audience. Meanwhile, there's like other people, like a good chunk of people like still cruising on like these older consoles.
Was growing up in a relatively short time frame. And yet now it's like, okay, once you're here, where do we go from there? I'm not saying it can't get better. There's things like path tracing. You could run at higher resolutions, higher frame rates, get even more stuff on the screen. Mm-hmm. But man, like when you put things like this side by side, I just, like there is a huge difference. And then this to this, huge difference. You're already starting to see a bit of a diminishing return here. And maybe Spider-Man's not the best example, since even the PS5 version here was kind of just an upgrade to the same game. But there were some noticeable advantages here in resolution, getting some ray traced reflections, things like that. But let me give an example of this. So we now have the PlayStation 5 Pro. Now the PlayStation 5 Pro is an example of really the best hardware they could get in a relatively expensive price point. We're talking the $700 plus range.
Bro, $700 for the PlayStation 5 Pro? Are you serious? Price of PS5 Pro. What the fuck? What is this little 3D? Okay. It's 700. What happened? I feel like I've been in a like a time capsule. And this is like, what's this range? Typically 550 to like 1,000. And then you know they're gonna come out with some like stupid ass bundle bullshit of like over almost $1,200 right there. What the fuck? 750 for what? Like an extra controller? What the hell?
Several years into a console's lifespan. And look at this. This is the PS5 performance mode in Metal Gear Solid Delta. Up against the PS5 Pro, I was going to say performance mode, but they only give you one mode, which is supposed to be kind of like the best of both worlds. So the PS5's performance mode frame rates with the quality modes, visual settings. But here's the thing.
So like something in the middle. Okay, gotcha. And frame wise, PS5 performance mode gets like an extra 3 frames on it.
Like, look at this. First of all, the PS5 Pro frame rate wise is actually performing worse than the PS5's performance
I mean, yes, but it's only like 3 frames worse.
mode in a number of scenes.
I guarantee you, like, you try to like pay someone $1,000 to try to figure out which one has like +3 frames and which one's -3 frames. You're not telling the difference.
But theoretically, what you're getting in turn for that is increased visual settings.
Mm-hmm.
But look, I mean, look at this. Like, yes, there are differences. But when we look back at something like this, we see like revolutionary jumps.
Yeah.
It's very easy to see what you're getting several years later for, oftentimes the same price or only a modest increase in the price of the hardware. And then we see this. Now, obviously, maybe Metal Gear Solid Delta is not a shining example of optimization or anything like that, and we could talk all sorts of things going on with Unreal Engine 5, etc.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like we're in a different paradigm here where, from the gamer's perspective, are they really feeling that, is this the kind of thing that's worth waiting years and still spending hundreds of dollars more for?
No. It's not. And I think the console companies know that, and they're afraid to tell their audiences, hey guys, we're at the point of diminishing returns, right? If you want to pay, like, and they're talking about like minority versus majority. If they want to tell all of their audience, hey, if you want to squeak out some more performance or frames or resolution out of the next console that we make, you're probably going to have to pay an extra couple $100, because on our current path, our next console, it's not going to be much better. All right. It's going to be about the same. And they're too afraid to say that.
And on the price side of things, look at...
Like, what is this? PlayStation 1. Okay. Yen, euro, dollar. Dara. At release, 300. After 5 years, 100. 300, 150. 600. Holy shit. I was not plugged into the internet as much as I am now, I wasn't plugged in to the internet back then as I am now. This jump 3 to 6, this is double. This is insane. What the fuck happened here? Now, 5 years later, 150 again. Or no, it's just 150. 600 to 250. What happened right there? This is a little bit of a kerfuffle when the 5 years later price is about $100 less than the previous console's 5 years later price. What happened on this year? And then the next console came out and it was like, oh, 400. And then it only 5 years later, it's only 300. And then what was this 500? It went up. Bro, what is happening?
This. So, this is, I found this on Reddit. So, as far as I could tell, it seems accurate. So we had the PlayStation 5. And here, let me readjust my window here so you can actually see the heading that we're missing here. This is the price at release and then the price after 5 years.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to focus on my good old American dollars. But, okay, the PlayStation 1 at release, $299. And I mean, if we adjusted for inflation, that's actually pretty expensive. But after 5 years, they could produce that same hardware for $99. That's 1/3 of the original cost. And then look at the PS2, launching at the, same price.
I feel like we need like an additional chart, right? Because we have like a bunch of like video game consoles. I think we need an era specific like TV to go along with it. And to see like what the relative prices are back then for each like type of TV that like on average that you were playing something like this on. I think that would also be like pretty accurate. Because I mean like you need a TV with this thing. You can't just buy this and start playing. You need a TV.
As the PS1 launched at $299. And then after 5 years, they could cut its price to $149, half the original price. And again, as we're doing this generationally, you're getting some pretty noticeable increases to resolution. Again, if we look at like resolution counts, by the way, this I'm taking some information from this video here by Group M Pro. I will link in the video description to sources. So definitely check out here for a whole bunch of more comparisons in these games together. Did a really nice job on this. But yeah, we're going from like 224, 256 by 224 to 640 by 480, 1280 by 720, 1920, right? So there's a huge resolution jump in also like just the types of things you can do with the graphics, how much you can render at a time, all of that. Big jumps here, right? And then, we have the PlayStation 3. Now, the PlayStation 3 was very expensive at launch, coming in at $599, and
yeah,
then,
what the heck?
Inflation adjusted, that's even more expensive.
Yeah,
so
what happened?
It was a bit of a troubled launch there for the PS3, but they were able to turn things around and get a version out after 5 years at $249. So less than half the original launch price 5 years.
What happened with the economy, like at this point in time?
Years later. And then they came in with the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 4 was coming in at $399, so much lower than the original PS3 launch price. More in line with, inflation adjustments, from previous consoles, maybe even.
Oh, really? My paycheck didn't really align with that price.
Below that. And then after 5 years, they were still able to cut that price down to $299. Now, then we have the PlayStation 5, okay? But also, let's look at the PS4 jump, right? So, are you going from the PS3, which, PS2 to PS3, visually and, much more realistic rendering.
That's big.
Getting a lot of 720p, so technically high definition. Maybe not full HD or anything, but matching a lot of the TVs at the time. You weren't always getting, 60 frames per second for sure. Oftentimes 30 and sometimes unstable. But big resolution jumps, big jumps in what you could visually deliver. And, kind of a disappointing price initially, but then you get, You get that corrected soon after. And then we've got the PlayStation 4 coming in. With the PlayStation 4 coming in, you're jumping up to 1080p in a lot of games.
Yeah.
Sometimes 60 FPS, sometimes still 30. 30 is still a pretty normal target. But the kinds of things that you can render are certainly like if we look at a scene like this. Sorry, that's PS5. Let's go back to PS4. A scene like this is not only running at a much higher resolution than what the PS3 could do, but look how much stuff you have. Look at all those characters in the background, all the vehicles, all the cars. You're getting a pretty revolutionary jump there coming from the PS3 to the PS4, and it came in at a lower initial price point. Then you get the PlayStation 5 coming in at $499, and yeah, we again get some big jumps. Now, resolution's part of it. We're able to support 4K TVs. Some games can actually render at 4K. Some can't really render internally at 4K, but they'll have some kind of upscale to it.
Yeah.
Or at least in their 30 FPS mode, they might be, something that looks reasonable on a 4K TV, that kind of thing. But there is a big resolution bump. There's, I think one of the biggest.
And it's also even more noticeable, the 4K resolution, the bigger the TV you have. Because if you have a 4K TV, but it's like on a smaller side, you can't really tell. You can really tell when you got like a 60-inch, plus gigantic TV that pedals 4K. And if it's not 4K, you can tell.
Just life-changing differences was the super fast SSDs, how fast you could load into games, quick resume stuff, really, really revolutionary. And again, coming in at $399, dropping price after 5 years to $299, and then we have the PlayStation 5 coming in. Which didn't, after 5 years, did not drop price. We just a week ago had its price increase.
Yeah, insane.
To $550.
Actually insane. You're telling me that it's more expensive now to make this thing. So all of a sudden, technology is more expensive the longer it stays around. Really?
Now, inflation has existed during all of these things, and I don't need to get into a big political thing right now regarding any sort of tariff situation or whatever might be causing this. Just think about the end result for the average gamer and your thoughts about the next generation of hardware.
And also, when we see a graphic like this also perpetuates the idea of if I don't want to pay more now, I have to get in on day one. Let's say you're a younger person, you're a young gamer or something, and you see this graphic, and you see it always trends down, 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 down. But then all of a sudden, right here, it's up. Well, oh shit, you're gonna think the next console's probably gonna be like this. So I have to get in on day one, or else I'm going to end up paying more in the long run. Which is, it's really not the case. That is what the console companies want you to believe. And that's, abysmal.
So it's not that I don't think we can push beyond this. Like I said, we've already seen in the PC space, stuff like an RTX 5090, you can see what the future could be. We could see high refresh rate, 4K, path tracing, all sorts of stuff, which sure, makes some visual difference. And who knows what other sorts of neural rendering techniques come out and all of that. So there is a future. You can push beyond this, but you can't help but feel from the gamer's perspective that yeah, when you were stuck back here at the PS1 and you saw a PS2 or a PS3 and then PS4 and then even PS5, you're starting, once you get here, it just feels like a bit of diminishing returns.
A bit. It feels like a shitload of diminishing returns. I mean, because just from stills, maybe you could probably tell, and you can't even tell, on the video because everybody has a different refresh rate for their monitor. So you can't really tell just from a video on YouTube. Yeah, I would like to say you can tell with the frames. It's oh, this one looks smoother. Like this one's at like 120, this one's at 140, this one's at like 180 frames per second, stable, right? Versus, and it's like the details also matter, like the resolution matters, like, and this is like kind of misleading because on the PS3 you have a close up of like Spider-Man's back, and you can kind of see like the threads and the texture in this, whereas like all of these, it's like kind of far away, you can't really tell. So even like this is like kind of misleading, right?
And then again, if you look at where prices are at, right? The cost of producing that next generation of hardware, we've seen these massive price drops in how expensive the current gen was after 5 years when they're prepping that next console generation. And the current gen right now with the PS5 is increased to 550.
Yeah.
That's effectively saying that the best console they can produce right now, at whatever sort of margin they're willing to take, I supposedly, I mean, we can't see their financials there.
No.
But they're effectively saying that the PS5 is the best they can do at 550, and if you want something better, it's the PS5 Pro, and that costs hundreds of dollars more.
Yeah.
And
I would bet the PlayStation 6 is going to cost at least $700 or $800 on day one. That's my bet. I mean, I don't know exactly. I'm just betting.
And this is what you get. This is what you get. You can turn the graphics settings up a little bit and might not be able to still lock to 60 FPS. Now, obviously, in a couple of more years, when we would actually expect a PS6 generation, then I do still expect some development there. We have AMD working behind the scenes on their UDNA architecture. We've seen leaks of massive improvements to ray tracing performance. They've got neural rendering techniques. We'll get something more like FSR4, which will be a higher quality upscaler. So even if your internal rendering resolutions are lower, your output could look a lot more like 4K. So there's still something to be had here. But
stuff like that, that's like for power users of like PlayStation products and just overall like video game console stuff. Like the people that worry about all that stuff, that's like a minority. Like most average people that have these types of consoles, I'd probably be willing to bet that they probably can't really tell much of a difference, if anything, because first and foremost, they're playing most of their video games on a console. They are by definition like more or less like casuals. Like, come on. If you wanted to like really get some like bang for your buck, just go get a computer.
You really feel like from the gamer's perspective as well, like, I mean, if you look at graphics like this, like obviously, yeah, I would like the internal rendering resolution to be a bit higher, and I'd like a locked 60 FPS, but you kind of feel like a few tweaks in the Unreal Engine 5 here from the developers, and we probably could have been there without a lot of visual cuts.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get this kind of talk about there's no need of the PlayStation 6 and Xbox Next from a gamer's perspective, I mean, I'm still the kind of person who is excited about the next generations of hardware, but yeah, compared...
I mean, I'm not. I could care less about whatever next console is going to come out. I just don't care. Like, I don't play my games on console anymore. Like I used to, back when I didn't know anything about computers, but I don't know, like the older you get, the more, I mean, I can't even say if it's like an older thing, because there's still probably plenty of adults that play their console or their games on consoles simply because they don't want to have to deal with the rigmarole of getting a nice like PC, or maybe building their own, or learning how to build it themselves. Like that's becoming more and more the case of like people like being unwilling to like actually learn how to build a PC or whatever. I get it. Like the main attraction of a console is just plug and play. I get it.
As a kid, when you'd see the sizzle reels of the next gen console, your jaw would drop. It was really exciting.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, I feel like some of that excitement has sort of left, and we're starting to instead just get people kind of whining. And I'm not even saying they're necessarily wrong to whine, but I mean, it's like, any new game comes out, and you're just like, okay, so this runs worse.
Yeah.
And I don't
I mean, and also like the console exclusives, I don't know how much they actually help selling consoles anymore. I really don't know. Like Xbox has been like defeated by PlayStation, but you know they came. Xbox is coming out with that like ROG Ally little handheld thing that can run Xbox and Steam. So that thing is gonna be massive. Um, but like console wars, it's pretty much just PlayStation versus like Nintendo. At the end of the day,
don't really think it looks better. And honestly, there's usually a lot of stuff that does look better than what you actually had a few years ago. But again, it's getting harder to notice, it's getting harder to spot. And we're getting that technological developments, the price points on everything kind of slowing down. Game development too. Like I think some of the bottleneck in like how good games look is starting to be more on the game development side, right?
oh
Like
yeah,
to develop graphics at this level takes a totally different amount of time and work and number of artists,
yep,
etc., than it does to take to develop stuff at this level, right?
yeah.
So I mean, one thing I'm somewhat hoping for with the PS6 generation is stuff that can hopefully actually shrink game development timelines. And I know I might get some pushback on this in the comments.
Wait, so what do you mean? How are you gonna shrink development timelines? Because I mean, I don't know how like game development works, but like from what I like a basic TLDR is like depending on the game, the game is either made for PC first and then it gets ported over to console, or it gets made on console first and then gets ported over to PC. But and then like even amongst that, you have to account for all the different types of PCs, and also like I don't know how far back they want to make the game backwards compatible. Like, is all the PS6 stuff like going to be backwards compatible with like PS5 or even PS4? I mean, probably not PS4, but I would guess for sure PS5 at least, right? And Nintendo, that's just a whole box of worms. I'm not even gonna get into that. Um, but I mean, let's just concentrate on PlayStation. Um, the there's just I don't think there's enough like console exclusives to keep PlayStation people like solely inside the PlayStation ecosystem. Like the moment you dip out of like any one individual ecosystem, I mean from a console perspective, you quickly realize it's like, oh, there's so much other games out here that I didn't know about. Like it just is.
Section where I think a lot of people like to blame the lazy game developers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that should be more optimized. And honestly, a lot of that's publishers pushing the timelines out.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a whole big old conversation, you know, AAA versus indie and how fast a AAA can get a thing done versus how fast an indie thing, like company can get a thing done.
Rather than the game developers themselves. So let's make sure we put the blame where maybe blame is due. But one nice thing about where that PS6 type generation is going to be is if the base game design targets are around ray tracing. I know people have a lot of negative thoughts on ray tracing as far as like, oh, my performance is so much worse and does it look that much better? Some people who seem to really like ray tracing is game developers, because if you don't have to bake the lighting, which takes time, or if you're doing a ray tracing implementation but not every version of your game is going to be on ray tracing supported hardware. Sometimes you have to release you have to actually do the development work kind of twice, right? I have to, deal with my ray traced version of the game and my not ray traced version of the game.
Yeah, I think anytime I get a game on Steam and there's ray tracing on it, I just turn that bitch off. That's just me.
Etc. If we're really going to be having hardware where the base console design can handle ray tracing at a level where your lighting models, your reflections, etc., everything, your global illumination, can be handled through ray tracing, I'm hopeful that that can at least speed up game development. I'm also curious about some of the other neural rendering techniques. Now, again, as always, hopefully not at the cost of actual true optimization, etc. But man, we used to get games so much more frequently. And that's one thing that's been really disappointing to me with the current generations is that...
Oh, yeah. Especially from your main big head honcho AAA game developers. They spend ungodly amounts of years into one game thinking it's going to be their end-all be-all, only for the larger video game audience to respond in such a way that they don't agree with. It is what it is. You know, they spend like 7, 8, 9, 10 years on some game thinking it's gonna be like the next biggest thing, only for it to, you know, like it'll come out and it'll be good, you know, like, ooh, 10 million copies, 15 million copies or whatever on console. 30 million. I mean, that's good, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if the projections are so much greater than what they actually get. I mean, because I've seen a lot of videos where a lot of console gamers, they're just simply not buying new games anymore. I mean, yes, there's a chunk of people that do still on day one and even day 0 if you pre-order it, you know, you get 3 days earlier. That margin and of the pie slice is getting smaller and smaller. People are simply latching on to one game, like either a live service game or something, or like an older game, and they're just simply going back and playing older games more. That's just the nature, the culture that we're in right now.
As the level of graphics and how big the worlds can be.
And you know, for the PS6, you know they're raising the base game price up to like $80 at least. 100%. But they'll tack on so much bullshit to make you believe that it's such a value. It's like, oh, you got to pay $80 for base game, but you get all this extra stuff. Where meanwhile, you look back at like PS2, PS3, even PS4 era, and it's like, what? $60 game? And it's a whole game. There's no like pre-order bullshit. There's no like 3-day early access bullshit. There's no battle pass. It's just the game.
As everything has grown, it just feels like, well, it doesn't even just feel like, it's just true. Like the game development timelines, how long it takes to get the next game in your beloved game franchise, is just ballooning out of control. Where it's like, you know,
not for Call of Duty. Soon, not for Battlefield. Not for any sports game. Those bitches get like copy pasted the quickest. And you know what else is like a scary truth? That's like where a lot of console people are at. Call of Duty. Pick your favorite sports game. What else? What else we got?
You might get like one big game from your favorite developer on an entire like console generation. It's kind of crazy, if that. Whereas, you know, previously you could get a good quality release every year or two, or you know, sometimes less, from big, you know, AAA game studios. So, man, there's just been a huge change in that, and I think that also makes studios kind of a little more risk averse too. If it costs, you know, 5 years of development and hundreds of millions of dollars to develop a game, then the risk on that, man, if that game doesn't just sell like crazy.
Because we've already seen it. What Sony did with that big old chunk of live service games that they were going to release like a year or two or a couple years ago. And then all of a sudden they saw what happened to Concord. That got ruined. And then we saw what happened to the Suicide Squad thing. That got absolutely ruined. And there's a long list of other live service games that like they didn't even launch correctly. Like they launched like no one played them, and then they just died out. So if they're trying to like go into like hard on the live service aspect of it, that's not gonna work for them.
Then boom, studio's gone, fire everybody.
Yep.
I don't know. The gaming industry is in a weird place right now. So I'm
It
really
is.
hoping that as some of these newer tools become available with the next generation, that maybe it can actually be a bit of a relief to game development timelines. And also
Doubt.
if like,
No. I highly doubt it, dude. And that's the truth. Like I would hope that some shit gets like streamlined, but it's not. It's not gonna. It's only gonna get more complex, more complicated, more hoops to jump through in order to change a thing.
more AA style studios can start to put out games that look visually very impressive using these newer
Maybe,
techniques without maybe like
potentially.
needing that massive development staff and
But if I was a AA developer, I wouldn't just go on on PlayStation and be a PlayStation exclusive. Hell no. I'd put my stuff on Steam or do on all the consoles and Steam. Exclusivity? Nope.
huge timelines and everything. It'd be nice if we could start pushing some of those boundaries again about what's capable in games. And again, as I think the PS6 generation is, I mean, we've seen Sony's Mark Cerny talking about like the excitement about neural rendering and opening up those techniques to game developers, etc. I'm interested if we'll start to see like a shift in the type of game we can have, right? So I know there's a lot of negativity around.
Yeah. Whatever game you're going to get ads in there. You're going to get battle passes in there. You're going to get dailies, weeklies, monthly challenges in your favorite game. Imagine Elden Ring 2, Elden Ring 3, battle passes, dailies, weeklies, monthlies. Right? Pick your favorite weapon and then go do some challenges to unlock a weapon skin for Elden Ring. How about them apples?
That kind of thing as well. But I'm curious if we will kind of hit another inflection point where games can have another kind of exciting development period where a lot of new things get tried, etc. So I'm somewhat hopeful that we'll be there. But yeah, I mean, if you're at least looking at the kind of games that people are already playing, they already look pretty good. And the PS5 style generation hardware, and same thing with the PC space, already runs them pretty well. So like, you do kind of see the point here. So I'm still hopeful, but yeah, it's certainly the case that you're stopping. Yeah, you're starting to see some kind of diminishing returns in what you're getting for your money and time in the development process. And man, seeing the PS5's price actually increase after 5 years is just complete unprecedented insanity compared to everything that we had ever seen beforehand.
Yeah, that's horrible.
And it does make me a little bit nervous about...
I mean, you're not nervous if you got money, but I'd say most people are somewhere between 40 and 60K people. Yeah. That's the majority of your audience. It sucks to suck. Don't be a brokey. But I mean, I'm just fucking around. But I'm not lying though. That's the majority of your player base. 40 to 60K a year people. Those are the guys that are buying this stuff. I mean, there's like a good chunk of like people that make more that still get consoles and whatnot. They're like the whales of consoles, the power users. But that's becoming few and far between.
This whole landscape moving forward. But then, maybe we just don't need that same level of infinite growth. Is the PS6 going to be like good enough that we can just stay there for a long time and just...
I mean, probably, if anything,
make all the games we want to make? I mean, we've always had this kind of like massive exponential growth in what's capable every so many years, but you certainly feel it slowing down. Anyway, what do you guys think about all of this in the comment section? Let me know, and I hope you all have an excellent day.
dang. I've never seen this graphic. This is kind of like eye opening to me. Like the increase after 5 years, that's insane. Hey, but it's only 500 to like 550. They tacked on $50 5 years later. Like, but still, it's like it trended up. It's in the green. Okay. Should I think if we're kind of on the fence if gaming should stop here, we should definitely be on the side of the next console generation should like last an absolute shit long time. It just should. What's the vibe everyone feeling? Like all graphics are banned until the fun becomes the point again. You will play obscure Japanese text-based adventures until the situation improves. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, because a lot of the good games are coming from Japan and like not American made is the trend. What else? 20 years ago, I anticipated that when we reached photorealistic graphics, we would need to focus on other aspects of the game experience. It's time we get fully destructible environments. Yep. Real world physics. Yep. And materials needed to be a thing by now. I mean, yeah. But I agree. I literally agree. Look at all the Clippies. Louis Rossman doing work with his Clippy army. Another Clippy. Oogadaba. Okay. Other than that, good video, man. Definitely. I never really thought about it, but I mean, honestly, gaming should like stay here a while. But I know the console companies, they don't want to stay. They want the next big thing, new hotness, new whatever. Got to make money, infinite growth, like you said, dude. 100%. But we'll see what happens. Other than that, that's it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.